Listen carefully, we don't have much time. The Flux is coming.
Hello, you lovely lot, and welcome back to Who Knew Fluxed. I'm here once again to talk about all of the trials and the tribulations of Doctor Who Flux. And I'm not alone. I'm never alone. I have another wonderful guest with me.
Oh.
And it's probably, I think this might take you to the record number of appearances.
Really?
Yeah.
Honoured. Bloody hell.
So let's welcome the one and only George Sheard.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm doing well.
Good.
I'm feeling fluxed.
Everyone's feeling fluxed. Yeah, I'm certainly fluxed.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're not aware already, this is a few days late. I have well and truly missed the boat on this one, but it's fine. I don't really mind. We're just here for a fun chat. We're here to talk about War of the Sontarans, Chapter 2 of Flux. So I mean, let's get straight into it.
Yeah.
I want to know your thoughts. I have seen your video on it.
Yeah, I'm scrambling at the moment with my thoughts on this, but I thought it was pretty good. I think my hot take on this is that I think I still prefer the first episode, and I think a lot of people disagree with that, which is weird. I mean, like, I really love this. It had a lot of good things going for it. A few things that I wasn't too keen on, but generally, I really like this. I think especially with the Sontarans and the way they did that, and again, what Flux is doing really well is utilizing the serialized format. Like Chibnall is amazing at that, clearly. And it's a shame he hasn't been doing it for 2 years beforehand. You know, like I would have, because this is great. This is exactly up his street. It's like sci-fi Broadchurch. I love it.
Yeah. Well, very, very exciting. I mean, I'll share my thoughts. I also feel like I should point out, obviously last week I had pumpkins behind me.
Yeah.
I have potatoes because what else would I have?
Why not?
And tune in next week to see what I come up with.
I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited because I don't know what you're going to do.
There you go. Here's some potatoes. My hands now smell of potato as well. It's a bit grim. The reason you're here, our thoughts on the episode rather than potatoes. I bloody loved it.
Yeah,
I think I'm well and truly in the camp of that was good.
Yeah,
like, I mean, as people know, I was a big fan of the first episode. I had a few quibbles, but I liked it. It was packed, but also like it was one of those things where I feel like everyone sort of agrees that it's serialized, so we can't really review it until after we've sort of seen the rest because of the way that it sets everything up.
Definitely. I think it's quite an interesting one in that respect, the way it is done, because I think I do quite like that, because I feel like everything's so exciting because so much is happening, and because we can't judge the conclusion of it yet. I think it does play to Chris Chibnall's strengths, as I said before, and I think like with a lot of the plot threads and stuff, like I just find myself excited by it. There's no feeling that this is filler. This was like the first test for me properly about Flux, where it's like, okay, you can do a big story, but like you now want to do a story about the Sontarans and the Crimean War. Can you do that as part of the Flux story, or is it going to be like, you know, Smile, where it ends with the start of Thin Ice, for example? You know, is it going to just lead on, or is it actually going to be part of the story? And this was like a huge success. I think they managed to create a perfect balance between an individual story, like historical, and like a great second part to this 6-part epic.
Yeah, I completely agree. Well, let's get into the nitty gritty. Let's get going. I mean, let's start right at the very beginning, because I mean, I've written notes for the episode. I think this might be, whenever I've made notes about an episode, this might be the time where I've sworn the most in my own notes. So my first note is the black and white pre-credit scene with the house. What the fuck? What? So
yeah,
this is, I mean, it's also sort of broken Twitter a bit because of fan theories.
Everyone thinks it's the House of Long Barrow, which, I mean, I haven't read Long Barrow. I don't know of many people who have at the moment, like of our like sort of generation in like recent years, unless you're like a real OG Wilderness Years, like born and bred. I don't know who's actually gone out and like read Long Barrow and like knows it inside out. I think it'd be cool. I just don't think they're gonna do it. It's like the same thing of like Omega and like the Rani and shit. It's just like, yeah, they're gonna do something where it'll probably be like an ancestral home or something important. I hope it's important because the iconography looks gorgeous, Also, I'll be taking royalties for black and white modern Doctor Who, by the way, Christian. Just FYI.
Yes.
I'll just
Isn't it your thing? Isn't it your thing there, mate?
No, I yeah, sure. I get myself into trouble now. I'll be like demanding.
Yeah. I think Verity Lambert's probably going to come knocking on your door, to be fair, when it comes to black and white Doctor Who.
maybe I should hold my nerve when I'm putting out like a whole episode of it there. Yeah. Ignore I said that.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, I sort of agree with you. I think, I mean, if he does Long Barrow, like if it's called Long Barrow, and he does Long Barrow, from what I know about Long Barrow, that is ballsy.
It's ballsy.
Like,
but I would
ballsy.
Shit along with excitement.
Yeah, yes.
I would eat that up. Like I'm a fan of what they did with the Timeless Children, so long as it gets developed. My worry with Flux is that whatever they do is, from the beginning of series 13, it's like in 9 episodes time, we're going to have a whole new production team and showrunner and doctor and companion and cast and crew and everything. And it's like, whatever big canonical things they do, exciting as it may be, I worry that it might not last too long after that. And I would love it to. If they do Long Barrow, which part of me really hopes they do, I want like Russell to stick with it. I want that to be definitive. I don't want it to be like retconned out of existence. Like I like, maybe not exactly Long Barrow, but if I call it Long Barrow, imagine if episode 6 was called The House of Long Barrow. That would be insane.
I think people would lose their minds.
Yeah,
I think I'm sort of leaning towards your lines of things where I think they might do something similar to Long Barrow, but I don't think they'll explicitly do Long Barrow. I
think they're going to do something like catastrophic. I think I'll hold my thoughts on like the rest of the series until like we get to stuff talking about the temple stuff, because I've got some like interesting ideas there. I put this on Twitter.
Oh,
and it was
nice.
Like, I think a few people were like, and I was like, okay, I want to develop this. I want to get
okay. Yeah, you can expand. You can expand there. This is a place for theories.
I think with temple stuff, there's some really interesting pieces of dialogue which fascinated me, because when I first watched, I've watched it twice now. When I first watched it, I didn't really get the temple stuff. I was a bit bored by it. Whenever the guy from the Williamson tunnels rocks up, I'm like, oh, just fuck off, please. I really, because there's no answer to his story yet. I'm sure it'll be interesting in retrospect, but at the moment I was like, you are pointless. Stop existing. But like with the temple stuff, there's an interesting like thing where it's like, okay, the Mori control the flow of time. Before they came along, it was all a big scramble and a big mess and all over the place, which immediately to me was like, oh, do you mean like the timekeepers in Loki then?
Yeah,
bit of a thing, but it's like, okay, so this ethereal race of beings, time was everywhere. Those other different universes clashing into each other, let's say, and these beings held it together. And they keep time from going wild. That was the line used in the episode. The synopsis for the next week is time is running wild. So I'm kind of thinking like, they're not going to do multiverse stuff, are they? Like, could they? Might they? I don't like necessarily want them to. I think that's very ballsy. I'd much prefer it to be something like Long Barrow, where it's more about the Doctor's origins, but there's a very interesting use of dialogue there and the way they're explaining this whole thing about time going wild. What does time going wild mean? Because the way they were setting it up felt very reminiscent to me of Loki, which obviously is totally disconnected, but just the similar threads, I'm thinking, I know how Loki ended.
Yeah.
And I'm like, could they? I mean, I don't think they're going to necessarily, but I'm like, maybe do something kind of.
I mean, they could. I mean, there's been a few. I mean, there's been a few theories flying around about that, mainly due to the Doctor's coat. I've seen a few people say Is this
Oh, people love that quote, don't they?
a multiverse? Is this a doctor, a parallel universe doctor?
I don't
Could
know.
it be?
Maybe.
Who knows?
Maybe. I've like, I don't know. There's so many things. I'm trying not to get involved too much with the conversation about next time, just because I just don't even know where to start. There's so much going on that I'm like, okay, there's people dressed up in division armor, but why would the 13th Doctor's companions be carrying guns? Like, I know there's inconsistencies in this era, but there is no way they would miss such an obvious thing as the 13th Doctor has very much. You don't use weapons no matter what, all right, unless it's like robots or whatever. But like, I don't get that vibe here. Like, they've got guns from the division, and they're all carrying guns, wearing armor. I'm like, I don't know how. Like, it doesn't strike me as something that these characters would do. So I'm kind of like, maybe it's a multiversal thing. And then there's some people saying it's like a projection thing, like Brendan, and it's hiding something else. And I'm like, I don't know what to think anymore.
It could be.
Yeah.
I think obviously we're getting a little bit into the next week's episode.
Oh yeah, a little bit.
I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I'm very excited.
We're all a bit excited from where this episode left off.
Definitely. I mean, before we get into the main chunk of War of the Sontarans as well, I feel like I should say spoilers. If you're watching this now,
a bit late.
I mean, you are a bit late. I mean, I'm a bit late putting this up. So if you still haven't seen it, just sort yourself out. I mean, to be fair, we've technically only covered like the first 30 seconds.
Yeah, spoilers for episode 3 in the episode 2 review there.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah, that was a bit fluxy. Let's talk about them. I really want to talk about them. I want to talk about the Potato Boys. I want to talk about the Sontarans. I can tell you want to talk about them.
I can tell.
I am going to start off with a bold claim.
Okay, go on. I'm interested with this now. Go on.
That I think I've seen a few people agree with me. This is my favourite Sontaran story of all time.
Wow. That is a bold statement.
I think it is. Not because I love the Sontarans, and it's not really because this is perfect. I don't think it's perfect by any stretch. Well, no, actually, it's not. It's really good, really, really good. But I love the concept of the Sontarans. I just feel like they've not been used in the way that they should be yet until now.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's certain things where it sticks out, but I think generally, like, the design, the aesthetic, the voice, the humor, because it's actually balanced here. There's humor in there, but it's not like Moffat era, where it's like, just all Sontarans are idiots and they look like potatoes. It's like, no, there's actually a bit of thought gone into the humor here, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, characterization, they are spot on.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Spot on.
100%.
I mean, I've seen a lot of people saying, this is not necessarily agreeing with me that it's the best episode, but or the best story, but that it's the best characterization of the Sontarans.
Yeah, I think something for me, and this is sort of a thing for Flux as a whole, it's something I've always wanted Doctor Who to do is, I kind of like the idea of Doctor Who feeling like it has its own massive, expansive universe. It should do, because it's Doctor Who, it's time travel, and it's universal. Like, in the way that Star Wars, you watch a Star Wars TV show and you're like, I know that species. It's like, I love the thing about Flux is that actually the Sontarans aren't really a focus here. They're just doing their thing, and the Doctor happens to find them and be like, hang on, you can't be doing that. I'll stop you first before I continue doing what I'm doing. It's something that, like, you could easily snip the Sontarans. This sounds like a criticism, it's not, but you could take the Sontarans out of it and the Flux thing would sort of have the same. There just wouldn't be this roadblock. But I love the fact that they've included it, because it makes the universe feel more expanded and out there. We've got Cybermen next week, we've got Weeping Angels the week after. It's like famous Doctor Who iconography that could just be like, the Cybermen are probably like one scene. I don't care. That's cool. Like, you know how at the beginning of like Time of the Doctor, whatever you think about that episode, I love the fact that, and Pandorica opens exactly the same thing. You got hundreds of different ships from loads of different aliens that you recognize, mentioning and name dropping stuff from classic Who, modern Who. We've not seen a Slovene since Sarah Jane Adventures, or like maybe the end of time in the background of the bar, but it doesn't matter because we get them occasionally mentioned and referenced and stuff. And that's, to me, it's like, it's expanding that universe, and that's what Flux is doing. And I think that's how the Sontarans work best for me, because the Sontarans aren't the Daleks. They're not the Sontarans. They're not out to convert humanity. They're not out to conquer like the planet. There's always like a strategic kind of tactical thing behind them. They're always doing something for their own war. This is the first time they've kind of come in really and been like, right, we're going to take over Earth because we're petty and they've annoyed us before. We're going to do it properly. That's properly Sontaran. And I like that. It's new and refreshing whilst also sticking to what makes them so good, that it's not the things they do aren't without reason. They saw the Flux coming and they're like, I say what, why don't we just invade Earth? Because they've annoyed us, links. Let's go there and invade for the sake of it, because we may as well take advantage of this. It's like, oh well, every planet's going up. Yeah, that's true, but every planet's going to die anyway. Let's just get one off on Earth. Let's just do this once. The Doctor won't be there. She'll be too busy. Let's do Earth now. Yeah. I don't know why that's like the Sontarans suddenly become Geordie. I don't know what that was, but it was, yeah. Oh wait, let's invade. I think there's a kebab shop near Liverpool. Like, no, it's I don't know where I'm going with this. Yeah, it felt proper. It felt like they're part of the universe, not just thrown in because it's like, oh, the Sontarans are doing something again. It's like, no, they're just part of the universe. They just happen to be there, and they just happen to fancy invading. That's kind of what they should be.
Yeah, no, I love that. And to link it back to what you said about how the humor is spot on. I think the one thing that I feel like nailed the Sontarans for me is that it's sort of like you said, like they've sort of just taken an opportunity for such petty reasons that I think that's one of my favorite things about it, is that they're just being completely petty. And the bit when obviously you get what's his name? Skak, yeah. Skakman. You get Skakman and Jodie all having a big chat. On the Skakman.
Skakman John.
Yeah, Skakman John. You get them two chatting, and I think the line that makes it beautiful is, I've always wanted to ride a horse.
Yeah,
and it's like that is the Sontarans, because they do things. They might do things for stupid, petty reasons, but then they do it, and they're really, really, really dangerous. And they are still like it's balancing that the silliness of the Sontarans and the fact, because they are a parody of they're a parody of like nationalists and like imperialism and stuff like that. Like it's all about the war
gammons,
and gammons. Essentially, they're gammons. They're gammon and potatoes. They're a parody, and it's showing like how dangerous these petty opinions can be. And these petty little things can do.
But that's the killer
I
thing
love
about
them.
I think
I'm getting my words in a muddle because I'm just so happy.
That's my thing with these, is like it took, the thing is with Classic Who is it had a great design at the beginning, it had a great concept and great, like in a Time Warrior, the Sontarans looked great, but Lynx was just a joke, right? And then in the Sontaran experiment, it was like, okay, here's this guy, I can't remember the guy's name because they're all stupid bloody names. That's not Sontaran. In the Sontaran, in that was like, it was darker. It was about like torturing humans and like working out about how they work and stuff. Just a bit weird and grim. What Russell, I think, got the Sontaran's character really well, but the design totally off. They looked a bit too, cheap in a way.
Yeah.
I like they're trying to redesign it, but it didn't really work for me. And then Moffat was like, kind of, I don't know what Moffat did, but the humor was too much. It just took the piss out of them. It belittled them. For me, with this, is it took the design of the original Sontarans, made it in the modern day, gave them the characterization similar to that of what Russell did with it, and a little, injecting a bit of the humor from Moffat era. And then for me, I don't think it's my favorite Sontaran story, but I think it's my absolute all-time favorite, without a doubt. Like iteration of the Sontarans, interpretation of the Sontarans, like
definitely
that is the best way I think they've ever been done. Like rant about the plot armor, shooting people and all that sort of thing. I'm not going to get into that because each to their own. But in terms of how they're talking, in terms of how they're acting, it might be daft, but that's the point. They're supposed to be daft. And I love the Sontarans best when they are just like I said before, like gammons, like war gammons that just are petty and don't know how stupid they're being. That's the best thing for me.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Dan shouldn't really be able to like fool one by going, "Oh, I was just looking for the peer head," like, "Oh, there's your general," and smack him on the back of the head. But the fact that he does do that and it works, it's my point.
Well, I think that makes perfect sense, because it's like what we said. They're a parody, and
they are laughable.
of people that we see in real life, and it's showing these potato lads. They are dim. And they're dim, but that doesn't mean they're not completely dangerous. If anything, the fact that they're dim makes them dangerous. And that's the point I was trying to make. That comes out of it. It didn't really come out very well, but that was the point I was trying to make before. Yeah. They're dim, but they're actually a massive threat, not because they're clever, because they're stupid, and because they are great at strategic military stuff. But they're just boneheaded, essentially.
Basically, yeah.
Yeah, that design is beautiful. I think I tweeted when the images of Skaman came out, that I love the fact that he's got the Russell ones. I've always loved it, because I mean, for many years it was sort of like the only Sontaran story that I knew. But I loved it. But now looking back, it's a bit too clean. Like, they're a bit too. They don't look like they've been to war. And I know people have sort of made a point of maybe that's the point. Maybe
I don't just even just the blue. Like, I don't know. I never understood that. Like, I liked it as a kid because that was my introduction to the Sontarans. But then you look at the like faces and the designs and stuff. Yes, it's a lot more expressionate. But somehow here they managed to get a fantastic set of prosthetics that was like expressionate, but not like just smooth. When it was Russell and Moffat's era, they did look like baked potatoes. They look less like that now. They actually look like an alien race that I'm like, I can tell with the like, there's a great photo of Dan Starkey when he's getting Sontaran makeup on, where he's got the headpiece and it's just his face poking out the front. And that's just sort of, for me, it's like, I don't feel like you could get that with this. I feel like this is a lot more intricate in terms of
it's more covering the whole head. What I loved about the Scat design is that he looks like an old boxer, like he's been beaten up a few times, like his nose is all crooked and like his face looks all swollen and stuff. And I just think, they've got that like grimness, like that hairy, dirty, horrible. Yeah, it's like Russell and Moffat like washed the potatoes. But it's like these boys are like straight out the ground.
It's too clean.
All them
I love that. I love the rust. I love the style of it. I love the color. I love the general aesthetic of all of this. I love the fact they brought back Dan Starkey. Obviously, they cast a brand new Sontaran commander. He was brilliant. Can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but he was incredible.
Jonathan Watson, I believe.
Yeah, he's so good at that, and I hope that, like, if Russell ever does the Sontarans again, I hope he brings back not just this design, but that actor as well. And it's great to see Dan Starkey in this, because of course he had to be. But the big comparison there is because it's the same guy doing it. It's like, you can tell that there is a significant difference in the performance. And I actually really like that. He's obviously been told that it's like, okay, we're doing less like of what we did before, a bit slightly different. Like, the comedy was still there for Dan Starkey, but it wasn't Strax. It was like, I don't know, it felt a lot more grounded and a lot more warrior-like, a lot more reminiscent of like Sontaran Stratagem and Poison Sky. Not my favorite story. I prefer this to Sontaran Stratagem, but in terms of the characterization of the Sontarans, it was really well done and reintroduced back then, and the comedy was all right. But they managed to just combine all these brilliant elements, even using the same actors and bringing back Dan Starkey, who obviously got quite comfortable in the role of Strax, which is perfectly like fine. Obviously played the guy for years. It's great to see him do the Sontarans again, basically playing the same character because they're supposed to be clones, but doing it with a slightly different voice, a slightly different performance, and it makes all the difference. And it's just like a delight to see him. Because if he came on and he was just talking like Strax, I'd be like, I don't I don't want this because I'm not a fan of Strax personally. I'd just be like, I don't know, just not.
No, I love it. I love it. I love the fact they got Dan Starkey back because I feel like you sort of get these people who are like linked to Doctor Who monsters like intrinsically. Like you get like Michael Wisher and Terry Malloy are like Davros and the Daleks and stuff, and like David Banks is the cyber leader, and he is like no one gets the Cybermen like David Banks. I mean, maybe a bit more emotional, but I feel like Dan Starkey is the Sontaran guy. I feel like he's the man.
And the Christmas elf, let's not forget.
And the Christmas elf, yeah. I watched that episode like 2 days ago. It's great. It's great. So let's skip ahead to. I mean, let's talk about the temple stuff. Let's go away from the Sontarans for a bit. The temple stuff. Obviously, we touched on it briefly before because I know you had some theories.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts? Obviously, you were a little bit lukewarm on the whole Joseph Williamson guy.
I know I'll like the story eventually, but I think they're just the sacrifice that sometimes made with these bigger stories is that if a character doesn't grip me immediately and they're not gonna have any proper development until episode like 4 or 5, I'm just not gonna like when they're on screen. And I didn't. He just kind of rocked up and then pissed off. It's like, okay, yeah, he's building a tunnel that's got some sort of dimensional thing he can move around space, and he's I don't know, he's got being contacted by some aliens. It'll probably be like vital. It's not being brought up yet, which means it's probably more towards the finale end of things. So or maybe it's something to do with next week. I don't know, but like, I just don't really care too much about that. And I liked it. You know, I think that like the temple scenes for me, despite the fact I do really like them, but for me, they were the weakest part of the episode, maybe because I enjoyed the Sontaran stuff so much, but I feel like there wasn't enough room to breathe with this. It was an hour-long story, and it was really well done. But, you know, rightfully so, a lot of the focus was on the Sontarans. They didn't give Jacob Anderson and Amanda Gill that much to work from until Swarm arrived and Azor arrived. They stole the show. I mean, I wasn't too convinced with them in the first episode, but they absolutely destroyed it in this, quite literally. Shit joke. It was terrible.
It was good.
They were great. They were really, really good, and they just commanded the screen the entire time they were on. I wasn't a huge fan of them in episode 1, as I said. Not that I didn't like them. I liked them as characters, but Azor hadn't said anything yet, and Swarm had only appeared in a few things, and I'm like, I'm not sure about this as the new big bad. I'm not sure. Now I am. Now I'm like 100%. When Swarm walked on to the temple, and he's like, you know, that little note on your hand that you think no one can see. What would the doctor do? You know?
Yeah, I was that.
Like, oh, okay. He's being sassy, and I really like that. It's like a nice, I don't know. It just felt good because it's like, okay, we've got an actual villain who's, sorry, car beeping its horn really loudly outside. We've got a villain who's actually commanding a lot of screen presence and being a dick. Villains should be dicks. Tim Shaw was just like, oh, pitiful humans. Oh, no, that's I'll steal your teeth. This guy, like, he's actually like, you are worthless. You are absolutely nothing. Why has the doctor picked you up? You are so dumb. Like, fuck you. Basically. He's like just
that is a direct quote from the episode. If you haven't seen it yet, like, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. I just really like what they did with that because they commanded the presence of it straight away. And I like Amanda Gill, and I think she does a great job as Yaz. And I'm interested with where Jacob Anderson's character is going, but they're being deliberately vague with that, which does annoy me because I'm like, it's so obvious that you're trying to keep something back so you can reveal it later on. Fine, but that just a little like nitpick for me is it didn't feel natural when he was like, you abandoned and like, outcast and all that stuff. You're giving loads of information about Yaz that we already know, and you're like, you see this guy that you definitely do know more about, and you're being deliberately vague. Cool. But it's like, I suppose that is his character as well. I want
more of Vinder. I want more.
I want more from him because it's like
I really like the character. Whatever we've seen of him so far, I really like him. I just feel like it's not enough. I feel like I think it's fine because again, I'm trying to get my head into serialized storytelling mode rather than like this. So we need to know this guy. Like I think episode 1, it's fine. Tease him. I sort of like what they did with him in episode 1. And then episode 2, I was like, yeah, we should probably start learning more. We didn't really get as much as I'd like. But that's what I think. I think if we don't really know Vinder by the end of episode 3, it's either for a very important reason or something that I'm not a big fan of, because I feel like we should know him by halfway through the series.
Yeah, I do worry about that. There's obviously something there, but they're being deliberately vague at this point. And I know that's part of Swarm's character. And again, I'm not complaining too much, but I'm like, it's 6 episodes, and I'm like, we're a third in, and I don't know anything about this character, about the fact that he was disgraced or something, and like he's on this job because of a punishment or something like that. And it's like, again, you're being deliberately vague. We don't know where he comes from. We don't know who he represents. We don't know who he was talking to. It's like, I kind of want to know more now. I don't know exactly what they're gonna do with him, but I hope it's soon, instead of leaving it right to the finale, because sometimes it's like, especially with this, is like Dan feels developed, right? As a character, he's a new character. I'm getting a lot from Dan. I wasn't again a huge fan in episode 1 because I don't think you were given too much, but in this he was hilarious. And Vinder, it's like that's 2 episodes now where he hasn't been given much, and I'm like, that could be. I'm hoping that Vinder ends up being this greatly developed character, but there's a risk at the moment, and this is my pessimistic side coming through. But there's a risk at the moment that by the end of the series, he'll be the outlier where I'm like, it was really good, but Vinder didn't need to be there, or something like that. I don't want to be like that, but I worry that we're a third through now. We don't know too much. And it's probably deliberate, but I'm like, I want something. I want just anything to go off here.
I think with the scale of Flux, I think it's almost a given. And this isn't really a criticism. I feel like it's ambitious what they've done. And I think there is a very, very high possibility that all of the strands that were set up in episode 1, when we get to episode 6, at least one of them will look at and go, yeah, that didn't really pay off. Yeah. But it's like you said, I feel like if that's Vinder, that's a big disappointment. If it's something like the Williamson stuff or something that's played down a little bit less, I think I wouldn't mind as much. And I don't think it would affect it as much. But I think, especially with the fact that Vinder has been, like, Vinder was like the first thing that we found out about Series 13. Like, he was like back in like July, was it, when we got the Comic-Con? Like, they've pushed him quite a lot, and I hope that they.
It's like, oh, he's the new, not like a new companion, but he's like a new friend of the Doctor, kind of like ish. I'm like, okay, cool, but why?
Yeah,
like, let's
fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. Once Upon a Time that we've seen quite a few promo shots of him in Once Upon a Time. Yeah, so
and obviously now he's met the Doctor. Involved. So my big question is, does he know the Doctor? Because I suppose
we don't know.
I mean, that's been left deliberately vague as well, where it's like lots of people know the Doctor. Lots of people we don't know the Doctor, and they can come up on the screen. And it's happened before in Doctor Who. Off the top of my head, like Goodman Goes to War, when that character gets introduced, she's like, "Oh yeah, I've met the Doctor." He's like, "He's great." Whatever. That could be the same sort of thing with Vinder. I'm thinking when maybe he knows who the Doctor is, and he's like, "You're here. Okay, I met you like then or whatever." And it's like, oh, if he said that you met this person, I don't want to do a River Song thing where it's like, oh, I met you in the future, because then it's rehashing old territory. But I reckon it could be something like that, or it could be just a totally new character that we get introduced to. I would kind of be interested to see if they turn this guy into like a new kind of Captain Jack kind of character, where he just sort of rocks up every few series and he's like, "Hi, I'm back. I'm gonna fight some Daleks. Here I am." That's cool. But I don't know what they're gonna do with him. I think it's interesting, but on the whole, for the temple stuff, like, I think it was decent. I liked what they were doing with it, especially the second time round. Not so much the first time round, but way more the second time round. I was like, it's a really interesting concept that they're doing here. But I'm like, okay, I just feel like that's more set up for next time, opposed to being, because I don't think I can say much about it because I don't feel like it's done yet. Obviously, like it's a 6-part serial, but I'm like, I don't know what I can say about the temple really, because it's not finished. Like, we're going to start next time, it'll continue, and it will presumably always like where it all started.
Yeah.
Interesting. It's like, I don't know what that means though yet. Like that doesn't mean anything to me.
Or maybe future episodes will make this better, which is sort of the aim for serialized episodes. I think you want it to work week by week, but then it works even better when you go back and look at it as like a sort of whole story. I like that. Just before we get on to hearing from you lovely people at home, I just want to touch on Yaz as well. I really like what they did with Yaz. Again, I liked there was a bit of chemistry there with Vinder. Would have liked to have seen a bit more of that, but I think Sam Davis said in his video, it's so nice to see Yaz like go off and have her own agency, and like it's pretty similar to the Clara stuff. I think Davis made the point as well, but I really like the what would the dogs do? I think everyone thought that was
it's a great touch, but and this is going to sound very critical, I feel, but let's just I'll point out that I really do like Yaz as a character, and I love what Amanda Gill puts into it. Like her energy towards the show is incredible. With the character, I worry that, are we celebrating her having this what would the Doctor do thing because she's been given like nothing for 2 series to work from? Or is it because it's actually a good, because, you know, as you said, like Davis made a good point in his video, where a brilliant video, by the way, where he was like, it's very similar to Clara. It is very, very similar to Clara in terms of like, oh, too much like the Doctor, you know, you play with fire, you get your ass burnt, that sort of thing. I worry that are we celebrating this because it's something, or are we doing it because it's actually something we want to see? Because I don't know if I think we've just had this story with Clara. Now I'm not against it. When that was what would the Doctor do, I quite liked that. I smiled. I was like, this is cool. I like that they're doing that with Yaz. But then when I really stepped back and thought about it, I'm like, do I like that, or like, am I just, I don't know. Do I like that genuinely, or do I like that because it's something new?
Yeah.
Like,
no,
conceptually, am I a
mean.
fan of it, or is it? Am I a fan of them doing something with Yaz, or am I a fan of the idea conceptually that she's becoming too much like the Doctor, because it has been done before quite recently? You know, like, I don't know.
No. That's interesting. I do get your point. I feel that. I do. I think that definitely applies for the transition. I mean, for me anyway, I think it applies for the transition between series 11 and 12. I feel like series 11, I was like, I got to Ranskor of Kolos, and I was like, I don't really know you.
Yeah,
I know you're
but that, I think
but
that's a problem with having too many companions in the TARDIS at once.
Yeah,
I've always said that the series would have worked better if Yaz only showed up in series 11 when they were on Earth, and she always ended up missing the TARDIS by a little bit, and then in Resolution she joins the team, and then Ryan leaves with his dad or something. So then there's still 2 people in the TARDIS. You get 1 series with Ryan, 2 series with Graham, 2 series with Yaz, instead of it being all 3 of them for 2 series and then Yaz for an extra series, because it's like, now we're getting development because it's more one-on-one. And like, I am being a bit critical, but I think there's a point where I don't know if I've just rewatched the whole of Whittaker's era, and I don't know if I'm going to look back on this era when it's done and be like, oh, Yaz is one of my favorite companions. I like her now. Like, I like her, like what they're doing with her. But I feel like what Yaz would have really benefited from, if they were going to use or play off a, I don't want to say trope, but like an idea with a companion's arc they've done in the past, more specifically New Who, I feel like Martha's story would have been really up Yaz's street in terms of, you know, former police officer. She's quite she's quite hardened as Yaz. Like, she does stand up for herself. She does say what she means. She's got a good head on her shoulders. Yeah. Like, more of the kind of thing where it's like Yaz ends up saving the day and then, you know, choosing to leave the TARDIS or something, or fancies the Doctor secretly or something. That kind of thing works better for me than like, it's Clara again. But that being said, I don't know. I've been quite critical, but I just want to like,
no.
I really like Yaz and what they're doing with it, but I'm like, I just want them desperate, because I know Amanda Gill's brilliant, and you look at those videos on set and like the chemistry that her and Jodie have is absolutely incredible. give Mandip Gill more jokes. Give her like character. Like she's getting some now, but I'm like, okay, we got like how many episodes left? 7 before she leaves for good. Like, let's do something now. I want her to be one of my favorite companions. I feel like she has the potential to be. It's just like so close, and I'm like, I don't want to be. I don't want it to be in arm's reach by the Centenary special, where I'm like, oh, so close, almost.
Yeah. No,
I'm rooting.
No, I genuinely do agree with you. I think the only thing is like you said, like, are we like sort of liking this so much because there wasn't anything before? I did like what they did with her in series 12.
No, I'd agree with that.
Like Praxius, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
He's really well developed.
Can you hear me as well? When I rewatched Can You Hear Me recently,
I didn't like that series. Yeah, she's really good.
When I rewatched that recently, I didn't like it my first time around. Can You Hear Me? And I only rewatched it for the first time recently. Genuinely teared up at the end. I don't tear up often at stuff. For some reason, that got me. Second time around, like the stuff with Yaz and the police officer and the 50p is excellent writing and character development. It is a masterclass. I'm just like, so let's inject that into the rest of her episodes, and that would be perfect. I think it's one of those things where it's like I love the character, and I Mandip Gill's excellent. She has the potential to do it, and it's like, just give her something more, slightly more. She's doing really well now. Like Flux has been great for Yaz. This episode was a bit less because there wasn't as many scenes with her, but I'm like, especially next week when it's all hardened and they're all got guns and stuff, I'm like, God, give her something really good, please. Because I'm like, she's good. She could be my favorite companion by the end of this era, but they really need to like push it and get those elements out there. You know?
No, definitely. I get that. I get that a lot. Well, let's take a little sidestep. Obviously, we've got loads more to talk about, but let's just take a little sidestep over to the realms of bloody Twitter.
For God's sake! Bloody Twitter!
Bloody Twitter.
Bloody Twitter. Let's see what people have got to say. We'll rapid fire a few of these because, like I said, we've still got quite a bit to go through. We'll touch on anything that comes up that we haven't really discussed yet. So Philip Hawkins, the man, the myth, the legend, at Ludex_Phil and Philip Hawkins on YouTube. I mean, you obviously already know him. Loved the new Sontarans overall. I was a little thrown by the prisoner Sontaran delivering a lot of comedy lines in a row, and just like the actor would have delivered them as Strax. But that's a very minor quibble. So that's interesting. I mean, we touched on it. I think we both like that scene, but
I like it. I could definitely sense there's a bit more comedy there, but I think that's what Dan Starkey does well. I don't know if it felt too much like Strax. I think it's just a very similar kind of, obviously it's the Sontaran, but I think it works better than any of the Strax material. I mean, some of the Strax was funny, but like as an actual Sontaran with those comedy things, I was like, yeah, this works really well. So I can see what he says actually a little bit, but I'm a bit like, I thought it was all right.
Yeah. No, I think I think definitely in isolation, the scene is very comedy heavy.
Oh yeah.
I think in the midst of the episode, when you then sort of go straight to, I mean, Sontaran massacring the Crimean soldiers, like I think it works. But each to their own, you know. Next one, friend of the show, my personal hype man, Cal at generic_tweeting. Absolutely fantastic episode. The pacing is extremely well done. Jodie's performance is stellar. The Sontarans are given full respect they deserve, and Swarm and Azure continue to fascinate me. The entire thing has left me wanting more right now. So
I can't agree more. That's perfect.
I agree. One thing that I want to touch on, let's expand while we're here. Jodie's performance.
Oh God, yeah.
Where did you stand? We haven't spoken about it.
I didn't mention it. I think she was really good. I'm in one of those things where I'm like, I just want more. I just want more from her. She's done some of the best work in this stuff. She's been given much better material. She's giving a great performance. I'm excited to see where that develops in the near future, to be honest. I think she's really good at it, and I'm really invested in her as the Doctor now. I'm very intrigued to see how that, especially the performance towards the end when she sees Yaz's in the temple thing. Very interested to see where they're going to go with that. The emotional end of her regeneration, I think, is going to hit hard. I think Jodie can really, really carry that. So I'm fascinated to see where she's going to take this series. Yeah,
I think this is, again, bold statements. I think it's my favourite performance that she's put in as the Doctor.
Really?
I think I loved her in Haunting of Villa Donedati, but here she's just got that. She's just got a perfect balance of everything, and it's the first. I always see her as the Doctor, but it's the first time where I've sort of been like, you've got like a few great Doctor moments in here, like not just like one or two scattered across a series. You've sort of got a lot packed into one episode, and I think she's for one. Don't see a lot from her. She's really commanding, like in terms of
very much so.
She really controls the situation in the midst of chaos, and she's quite aggressive in I've wanted to see that from her for quite a while.
She's really good with that. She's really good with that stuff.
We got that hint of it in like the cellar scene in like Haunting of Villa Diodati, where she's talking about the team structure and stuff, and I was like, yes, give me more of that, and they are, and I'm so happy they are. She smashed it out of the park, and I loved, again, another thing we haven't spoken about, Mary Seacole. I think their dynamic and separating 13 from her companions also gave her a bit more room to breathe.
Definitely.
I love her with Mary Seacole.
I love a companion and Doctor Light, companion light and Doctor Light episode. I think they always work wonders for the show when they can throw one in there every now and then. And I think this worked really well, splitting them up. I would like to have seen more of that again over the last couple of years. But I think it shows Chibnall's learning his strengths. It's just a shame that it's at the end of his era that he's really nailing it.
Yeah, but I think Mary Seacole sort of slotting in that role, obviously not fully taking the spotlight, and they managed to sort of balance, I think, quite well. I know some people have sort of leveled some criticism at the idea of that she did sort of get a bit sidelined, Mary Seacole. Which I sort of agree
a little bit. I think for me, I wanted it. It was a very clever inclusion, and it works really well for the story. But it's something, because of the way the story is structured, you can't actually help it. I think Mary Seacole, I would have really liked to have seen an episode about her more than but I love what they did. Probably one of my favorite Waker era episodes, to be honest.
Yeah,
but
I think it's good that it's easy to forget because of how much happens in the episode. But they do very early on touch on a lot of the history stuff, which I liked.
Yeah, very much so.
I think they maybe could have reiterated it a bit more at the end.
Yeah.
And they sort of, I think she's coming back. I think we're going to see Mary Seacole before the end of the series.
Do you think? Maybe.
I think we are. It's a very abrupt goodbye when we've spent a lot of time sort of developing that relationship between the Doctor and Mary Seacole.
Very true. Yeah.
The Doctor just sort of wanders off. He's like, bye. I'm off now to get my friends. And I think, and also we haven't really tied up the fact that, but where we leave Mary Seacole and the Crimean War is that there is no Russia. Russia doesn't exist. So the Crimean War now is over.
Yeah.
So time is broken there. So they have to sort of go. Yeah, they sort of have to go back and fix it.
But this is kind of why I was talking about the whole multiverse thing, because I'm kind of like, just to expand on what I was saying earlier, like, we don't know how they got there. Like, the Flux got to the TARDIS, and they appeared in the Crimean War, but it's not.
That was another thing.
It's like, it's not the Crimean War. It's like the Sontarans. There's no Russia. There's no China. It's just Sontarans. I'm like, okay, I understand that the Sontarans got it probably isn't a multiversal thing, but part of me is like, okay, we're talking about changing timelines and changing history, which is very, very much like multiversal. I know I'm obviously going off the back of the last few years of every film franchise going, let's do a multiverse, but I don't necessarily want it. I just think it's an interesting observation. I'm just, you're right. Like this world is left without Russia or China. But then maybe it's one of those things that's because of their temporal connection or whatever. I don't think I think it was more implied that it was a perception filter. Because it was a Sontaran fleet, wasn't it? Hiding behind a rock in Crimea. It was implied that they landed in Crimea to on purpose for that exact place.
Yes.
And when the doctor said Russia, Mary Seacole and the general both recognized the name. If the Sontarans went back in history and genuinely changed it, they wouldn't have a clue what we're talking about. But they did both recognize the name, which implies to me that it's kind of like a perception filter thing, where the Sontarans are making them believe that they are the force that these people are supposed to be fighting. They're like, oh, the Crimean War. Let's get rid of the Russian soldiers and let's redo it instead. But the Russian soldiers will still exist. They just won't be fighting in this war. So maybe slightly alter history, but I don't know. That's just my interpretation of it.
I
like
it.
Holes.
Because that was another slight little issue that I had, which again is only an issue if it doesn't get paid off.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is the cliffhanger resolution from the Halloween apocalypse to this, where they sort of just wake up. Like what happened? I don't know. I do have a slight theory. I do have a little theory. Could we now just be in an alternate reality for the rest of the series?
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was saying, is that it's very, you get the TARDIS, the Flux is coming towards the TARDIS, and then Jodie sees this house, and then she wakes up and she's in Crimea with Yaz and Dan and the TARDIS that isn't working properly, but obviously it wouldn't be working properly anyway. It's just like, this feels very odd. Now, obviously, it's probably nothing too big like that because the Lupari ships are still defending Earth. You know, Carvinista is still there. So that is still happening. You know, it's just like, I don't know. It's one of those things that I hope it gets developed. I hope it's one of those things that's like, they were planning ahead and not just, they didn't know how to get out of that situation. So they just threw her in Crimea. Because that's the lazy way out. You know, a lot of people were saying like, they really wanted it to be like the HADS in the TARDIS.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The hostile action displacement system. Like spitting them out, like it gets damaged and then Crimea. I'd like to do that, but it wasn't expanded upon. They weren't in the TARDIS when they got there.
Yeah.
Just little things.
Very strange.
Yeah.
Very strange. I mean, like I said, it might get paid off. If
hopefully.
It does,
I really hope it does.
Very intrigued to see what happens. So next question. It's not a question. I'm getting into Who Knew territory here. I'm not Who Knew. I'm Who Knew Fluxed at the minute. We're not doing questions here. We're doing thoughts. Jude at Pig and Tea Break. One line. Carvinista and Dan are going to get engaged.
Agree.
Okay. Yeah. 100%.
I was sat watching it and I was like, I can see people shipping them at the end of this.
Yeah.
I genuinely get. There's a nice little bit of camaraderie there, and everyone's gonna be like, them.
I love it. What do you think of them both? I think you touched on Dan previously.
I think Dan was brilliant in it, and I think I'm not trying to be like, you know, like exaggerate anything. When Carvinista rocked up, I cheered.
Yeah,
I was sat with a mate who hasn't watched Doctor Who in years, since the beginning of the Capaldi era. He sat down, he watched a bit of the first episode, and he sat down and watched the whole of the second episode with me. He didn't know what was going on. But when Carvinista showed up, I was like, hey, dog! I loved it. Even though it didn't make much sense, I was like, this is perfect. And the banter between the two of them is brilliant. My worry now is I love that character so much, Carvinista. They're totally going to kill him off.
Oh.
They will. Episode 5 is called Survivors of the Flux. They're definitely gonna kill him. I don't know. If they don't, great. I want to see the Lupari in the future, played by the same guy. But I feel like Carvinista, I think they might kill him off. as a character.
Don't. Please.
Or Dan saves his life.
I wanna see him get bopped on the nose again, please.
He might do before he goes. Maybe that'll be how he goes. He just sort of dies and Dan goes.
yeah. I'm loving Carvinista. He's just a really fun presence in the series.
But
nice bit of levity, in a bit of chaos. And Dan, I am
great. So funny
over heels in love with Dan. He's just so good.
Again,
and his mum and dad
laughed out loud at like some of the lines he came out with in this episode. Just like the when he was saying he was looking for the Pierrette, like, and that whole sequence is hilarious. And I know some people don't really get it or don't find it funny, and that's totally fine. For me, I was sat there. This is so funny.
Yeah.
And the fact that he turns around to like 6 or 7 Sontarans and does exactly the same line, I'm like, you really think that's going to work twice, man? Like, what were you expecting to happen there? Yeah, but I love it because it's so like, it's injecting it with personality, which is what the companion of this show need. I was worried when they're going to introduce a brand new companion right out of the gate, but great. I'm happy with it.
I'm definitely happy with Dan. And I think I could just mention then the scene in the car with his mum and dad is like, I've not laughed at Doctor Who like that for a long time. It was so funny. And growing up not far away from Liverpool, like them talking about Birkenhead, was so funny. And he's just nailed Scousers in 2 episodes so perfectly, and I'm so happy with it. But John Bishop's doing a really, really good job. And I actually think I'm really excited to see, because I mean, comedy-wise, nailing it in the same way that we saw Catherine Tate nail it, like in Runaway Bride and Partners in Crime. Now I'm hoping give him some hard stuff, because I think John Bishop can pull it off. And I'd be really excited to see him get sort of like, maybe not to the same level of emotion, but the kind of stuff that Catherine Tate got in like Fires of Pompeii and Planet of the Ood, like test the character more. I think with these sorts of characters, it's always that classic thing where the characters in TV and film that you sort of laugh the hardest with, you also cry the hardest with. If you can make a comedic character have an emotional beat, it hits even harder. Like whenever you have a comedy show, you have that sort of character who's got a bit of comic relief. The second you find out there's something like deeper there and they get upset about something, it really hits. Catherine Tate was always a very comedic character in Doctor Who until series 4, and they gave her some of the hardest stuff for any companion to go through, and she nailed it. And it is by far some of the most impactful stuff Doctor Who's done today. So I'm not saying we're going to get on the same line as Donna, but if they give John Bishop some actual sad shit, that would be great. I'd love that. Yeah, I think that could come in the form of something to do with Di. Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't know if you've listened to Review of Death yet. I haven't had a chance to get around to it. No, haven't had a chance. Do you mind me telling you Billy's theory? Go for it. Billy thinks Passenger is Di. Oh. Well, that would make sense from the way they ended episode 1 and started episode 2. It's like there's this random guy who's here, but then there's also met Di, and they're like, oh, I hadn't thought of that. That's really good. I know. Oh, I mean, I like that. Intriguing how they do it, because obviously there's differences between Passenger and Di, height-wise, and obviously Di has a disability, but Passenger doesn't seem to. We haven't seen much yet, but intriguing, very intriguing. I'm intrigued by Passenger. I feel like Passenger is going to be important for hopefully some... God, but it's one of those things again with this series where I'm like, I hope it's something, because it could also easily not be, and I'm like, I hope it's something really cool like that. If it's not, okay, that's fine. I'll just forget about it. No point dwelling on it, as the Sontarans would say. Well, thank you to everybody who got in touch for bloody Twitter. We've only managed to get a couple in. loads of people got in touch because so many people were excited about this episode.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I'm sorry we couldn't get around to it, but I do have, before we go,
oh god,
something to treat George with. I promised you quizzes. I promised my listeners quizzes. Last week I disappointed with only one quiz question. Yeah, now you're gonna get tested.
Right. Am I gonna have to hand in my Doctor Who fan license for you to rip it up if I get this wrong?
Yes.
One of those okay.
Yeah. No. I mean, I think this is tough.
Okay.
And I think so you're gonna have to get a score out. There are 12 answers.
And presumably 12 questions. Oh no, just one question. I don't know.
One question,
oh,
12
one question,
answers.
12 answers.
I would say if you get 8, I think we'll give you a pass.
Yeah.
There's a few tough ones here. Your question is I need a name. I need a name for this segment. This needs to be a segment. Quiz. Quiz.
Quiz-a-rassalon's already taken, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of something really good, and I can't. I don't know.
Quiz Chibnall.
Quiz Chibnall. That's brilliant. That's really good. Quiz Chibnall. That's brilliant. Stick with that. Okay,
Quiz
welcome
Chibnall.
To Quiz Chibnall. Go on. Filmed in front of a live studio audience, we have Quiz Chibnall. It's brilliant.
Welcome to Quiz Chibnall. Your Quiz Chibnall question for this week.
Yeah, go on. No, ignore me laughing. Go on.
Your Quiz Chibnall question is...
You've got to stick with us now.
I am. Every week. Name every story in Doctor Who that the Sontarans appear in.
Shit.
Now, when I say story, I'm not saying there are. I mean, you probably.
That seems like a. How many is there in total?
12.
Just 12. Really? Okay.
Yeah. In the history of, we're talking classic and new.
Are we talking like the main villain, or are we talking that they appeared in?
Any appearance in the main show, not minisodes, not spin-offs, not counting them.
Oh, so the Jimmy Savile one doesn't count then? Okay, good.
Oh God, no. So yeah, it's in the main show.
Yeah.
We're counting stories, not episodes. So if there's like a 2-parter, it's both. Both is one.
One story. Okay, yeah, got
so technically 13, or 14 or 15. I might have spoiled something there, but go ahead. I'm going to tick them as you go.
I'll start by saying I haven't seen too many classic Sontaran stories.
No, that's fine.
But I have seen The Time Warrior.
That is one.
And I have seen The Sontaran Experiment.
There is 2.
I'm aware of the 2 Doctors.
Okay, that's 3.
I'm going to just hold that thought while I move on to New Who.
Okay.
So obviously, like, Flux, presumably, is on there.
When I say, give me the separate episode. Give me the separate chapters for Flux.
War of the Sontarans.
Correct. If you didn't get that, we'd have issues.
Okay.
We'd have problems.
Is Strax counted? Do we count Strax, or is that not?
Is he a Sontaran?
Okay,
he is.
Breath. Deep breath?
Why is deep breath not on here? Oops.
Okay, deep breath.
Yes, you have 13 stories.
I really hope I've got another one on there. Okay.
Oh my God, there's so many missing.
Yeah, I was going to say. So, name of the Doctor.
Hang on. I've
Crimson
got another
Horror,
one missing here. Crimson Horror's not on here either. The Snowman's not on here either. Oh, TARDIS Wiki, you have let me down.
Oh, you kidding?
Right.
Oh.
Hang on. Let me type these as we go. The Snowmen. You can have that. I'll give you it. Bearing in mind that it's a correct answer. So yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the Crimson Horror, name of the Doctor. We get those ones.
Name? Oh,
He's in Name of the Doctor. Well. He is, yeah.
Oh my God, there are so many more than I thought. This is all.
Welcome to Quiz Chibnall, ladies and gentlemen.
The Name of the Doctor. Right, okay. There you go.
So what we got so far? We got the original.
So, I mean, you've now got 8. You just haven't got 8 of the ones that.
8 out of how many?
It's now 16.
16, because it is.
So I missed like 4 stories.
Okay, let's see if I can get that number up. Good Man Goes to War.
Oh, for God's sake! There's another one. No.
Oh no!
What is TARDIS Wiki playing at?
Oh,
I went in chronological
Quiz
order.
Chibnall.
Oh my God! Welcome to Quiz Chibnall. A Good Man Goes to War.
Welcome
Congratulations.
Out of 17, so I got 9 out of 17 now.
Yeah.
So now, so it's annoying because every time I get one right, I'm like it's like 1 step forward, 2 steps back. Okay.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you've still got 8 left to get, and possibly more if I've missed them.
Pandorica opens.
Correct. That is
on
on my list. Yeah.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I've not missed any now. I'm now going through it in my head.
Sontarans, Stratagem, and Poison Sky. Of course. Correct. See, now I'm trying to think if they appeared in any other like New Who stuff. Because obviously that was the first appearance in New Who. They were in Sarah Jane, but that doesn't count because it's spin-off.
I'll give you a little clue. So you've got 6 left.
Okay, so I've got 6 left. Don't go too. I want to really try.
Well, no, I was going to tell you how many left are in New Who and how many are in Classic.
Oh, okay, that's probably a good.
Okay, so out of the 6 left, 5 of them are New Who, and 1 is Classic.
Bro, what the fuck? Like, how does that even work? What is Quiz Chibnall, man? What
but I'm now worried that I've missed a Classic story. But we'll just roll with it.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me think.
I'm now Googling while you're thinking. I'm Googling Sontaran appearances.
5 new in New Who that I've missed?
Yes.
What?
I don't think you've got any.
I've just rewatched it. I've just rewatched New Who and I'm right, hang on. I've really got to go. I want to get this now. So Sontarans, Stratagem, and Poison Sky is their first appearance. We're not including Sarah Jane, yeah?
We're not including Sarah Jane.
Thank God, because I can't remember the episode names.
TARDIS Wiki is so wrong. So wrong.
Okay. Is End of Time
on there? This list does not include Strax. That'll be why. It says at the top, this list does not include Strax. Why does it not include Strax? He's a Sontaran.
Right.
Okay.
There we go.
Carry on. I think you've got all the Strax ones anyway.
Yeah, I think I have. Is End of Time on there?
The End of Time part 2, but I will give you that.
Okay, yeah. End of Time. Right, where is my question? Because it was my guess because there's loads of like random aliens.
The Martha and
of course. I'm an idiot. Yeah. Ignore me. Don't. Right. Of course. I was thinking I don't remember seeing Sontaran in the bar. I'm like, it's not in the bar.
I thought it was the bar, and then I was like, oh, of course it is.
Oh my God! Right. So there's 4
I'm
more.
loving this chaotic Quiz Chibnall energy.
It's brilliant. Now. This is the best. This is the best thing I have ever done in Doctor Who stuff that I've done online. It's so incredible. Because it's just all over the place. I love it. Right, hang on. There's 4 left in New Who that I'm not even thinking of. Like, how is that even?
Yeah. I'm worried.
Don't tell me this.
Go on.
Well, I can rattle through them again. Hang on. Sontaran, Stratagem, Poison Sky, End of Time Part 2. Pandorica opens.
I'll tell you what you got. Yeah. A Good Man Goes to War.
Good Man Goes to War.
Name of the Doctor.
Yeah.
Snowmen. Crimson Horror. Deep Breath. War of the Sontarans. 2 Doctors. Sontaran Experiment. The Time Warrior.
And how many are left?
5.
Fuck off. Really? Okay. And 4 of those are New Who.
Yes.
That's mad. Right, hang on. You're not including flashbacks, are you? Like,
no.
So like a frame in the Timeless Children,
Yeah, no,
for
no,
example.
no,
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 it doesn't
no,
count.
no,
Right,
no,
okay.
no, not
To be fair,
that.
if you weren't including Strax, you better not be.
Also,
fucking
just want to add,
flashbacks.
depending on your knowledge, there are 2 DVD collection stories in here that you haven't got yet.
That's cruel. That's cruel to say that.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. Thing is, I think
there's 2 in
picture.
particular. There's 2 in particular that you are going to absolutely kick yourself on if you don't get them. But if you want to tap out,
there
you
has
can
got to
tap
be.
out.
I'm not tapping out. Fuck that. You can cut the dead air. I really want to get this now.
I don't think anything is dead air. I think this is all hilarious.
This is right. Hang on. So
people are
there's
going
4
to be
more in New
screaming
Who.
at home. People are going to be screaming at home.
I'm screaming in my head. Hang on. I'm really trying to think now because Goodman Goes to War. They hadn't appeared in a while before that, other than Pandora Opens, obviously, like for like a little thing.
There's also, as well as the 2 DVD collections, there are 2 episodes that we have mentioned in this.
Fuck
episode.
off. Really? Are you joking?
That you have explicitly mentioned in this episode. One in particular,
so
which is
why am I being dumb? What's this? Why can I not remember this shit? What have I mentioned this in this podcast in the last hour? I've mentioned this. I'm going red. I'm like, actually, what the fuck, man? Right, hang on.
Right, I'm gonna have to impose a time limit.
Okay.
Yeah, because I don't want us to. I know you personally, George, and I know that you will be here until about 11 o'clock at night, and I'm tired.
Is Time Lash on, or am I just making that title?
Time Lash is not on there.
I don't know what that is. I just vaguely remember because there's like a. I can't. Thing is, if the Jimmy Savile one was allowed, I could put Fix with Sontarans in, but don't allow that one apparently for some reason.
No, I'm not going to allow the Jimmy Savile episode. No, thank you.
Well, at least they weren't the real monster of that story. This is derailed. Right, go on. Right, what was my final score? I have to give it in there because my head's gone blank.
Right, okay, so out of
fucking 20 now.
So out of 17,
right,
you got 12, which
That's
is
not
a
bad.
decent score.
That's
very decent.
That's not bad. Yeah,
I think you are going to kick yourself.
Right, I mean, in order from Classic Who first. Go for Classic Who first. So I can.
Are you sure? Are you sure? No, yeah, I will do that.
Go on then.
So the first one that is in the DVD collection is The Invasion of Time.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I always forget, but I haven't seen it, so it just
that's
fine.
fine.
Yeah,
that's fine.
I couldn't even tell you which Doctor that was, to be honest.
Now we get on to the ones that you are going to be. So remember, I mentioned that 2 episodes were in the DVD collection. What did you put in the DVD collection, George?
What?
Wait, what? You put? What did you put in? Do you remember?
Fuck! Is it the God Complex?
The God Complex.
Motherfucker! Really? Oh my god! No!
So there's one from the episode that you put in the DVD collection, which is...
That's embarrassing. But where though? What, on like a picture on the wall?
Yes.
Fuck
there
off.
Is a
you can't, you're not gonna put Strax episodes in there, but you'll put... fuck me. Right,
the Strax thing was a mistake. The Strax thing was a mistake.
Okay.
Bear with me.
Sure.
Okay. Next on the list.
Is this in order now? Is that the first?
Yeah, that's the first classic.
Oh, so I'm spending.
That's the first modern Who one. Yeah.
I was wasting time thinking about tenancy with them. Right. Okay.
Yeah. The next one is an episode that you mentioned in this
podcast. Yeah.
The Time of the Doctor.
Yeah, I'm a fucking idiot, basically. Yeah, of course. Yeah.
The next one, I don't think I would have got. So this is fair. Face the Raven.
Oh, that's a tough one. That is
hard. I wouldn't have got that one. And here is the last one that you're going to absolutely kick yourself on. the Halloween apocalypse.
Motherfucker! I said Flux. I said Flux. You said stories individual.
And I said
this bastard is 1 6-part story. You can't include the Sontaran stratagem and Poison Sky as one.
Yeah, but then
the Halloween apocalypse. And
then I said.
Oh bullshit! The Halloween apocalypse. Oh well, I would have. Fuck that. No, come on. What? All right. No, fair enough. I didn't say it.
Give you half I'll give you half a point for that. 12 and a half. You happy with that? 12 and a half out of 17. That's not bad.
Can I push you for 3/4?
Not a chance. No, you can't. You can't push me for 3. Oh no.
I totally choked on that.
I think I've just killed
fucking derailed.
World-renowned YouTuber George Sheard.
What even is this anymore?
I don't know.
Man.
Well,
Quiz Chibnall needs to be a regular. This is brilliant.
I think Quiz Chibnall might have to carry over to the main show. Because that was really fun. So, well done.
Thank you very much.
You got over 8. I think you actually got more stories. I think you got more than 8 stories that I had missed, which is hilarious. I think you got like 8 stories that I missed.
Yeah. So I shouldn't be embarrassed. You've got egg on your face.
We're both egg-faced. I think.
And on that lovely note,
I think we're going to leave it there. I mean, we've chatted. There's probably things.
The actual note we're ending it on.
Yeah, we're leaving it.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Well, I think. I mean, give me in one word how you're feeling about Flux so far. Let's do that.
Tantalizing. Yeah.
Ooh.
Get me just.
I'm gonna say. Probably should have thought of this one. Incredible.
That's exactly
a bland answer, but yeah,
I thought you were calling Flux bland. I was actually no, not incredible. Bland.
Not bland. Imagine if I've just sat here for like an hour. Yeah, it's best Sontaran story ever. Jodie's best performance. If I had to explain it in one word, I'd say bland.
Bland. Yeah.
Right. Well, before we go, I mean, please go ahead and plug your stuff, Mr. Sheard.
Thank you very much. I do a YouTube called George Sheard now, and I do weekly reviews on there, and I also do weekly reviews on my podcast now as well, which kind of just to break down how I feel about stuff, because I feel like YouTube reviews can only get certain things across, and then I'm like, I need a bit of time to rewatch it and all that sort of thing. So I now do 2 Doctor Who reviews a week, so much for uni work, both on Spotify and YouTube. So YouTube is George Sheard and Spotify is Spill Yer Beans. We do weekly Doctor Who stuff as well as weekly film reviews as well. So yeah, content. There we go. I'm on Twitter and Instagram at GB Sheard as well. There we
go. Lovely stuff. And you've been listening, of course, to Who Knew Fluxed. If you want to listen to the previous episode and the other episodes, if you're listening to this in the future, there'll be a handy little playlist on YouTube titled Who Knew Fluxed. And you can listen to the podcast, the main show, where I interview people about Doctor Who. We've had people like George on before many times.
Yeah.
We've had...
I'm a recurring character.
And Sophie Aldred. We've had wonderful people on. So please listen.
And me.
This is your first... And you. Only those 3 people.
Yeah.
Only those. No, I've had loads of guests on. If you're into Doctor Who and this is the first time discovering the channel, please take a deep dive. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. And You can find us on Twitter, Who Knew Podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Who Knew DWPod. We're also on Patreon now. If you want your name in the credits of every podcast, yeah, I'm on Patreon, man. Yeah, if you want me in my dulcet tones to say your name, you can become a corridor of famer. You can get that top tier, and you'll get loads of other benefits as well. But yeah, I'll leave a link in the description to that. You can get a Who Knew t-shirt as well if you want.
I've seen them.
And patrons get a discount.
You can't refuse that. What are people playing at? Get on it.
You can't. You definitely can't. And you might even get some sneaky little guest announcements early.
Oh man,
if you fancy it.
God, I'm tempted now. Bloody hell!
Oh, of course you should be. But yeah, and like I said, we're here next Tuesday. I'll be here with the one and only Dominic G. Martin, making his first Who Knew appearance.
Really? Is it
chat first? About? Yeah.
I'm interrupting now. I'm sorry, just waffling. I'm just not talking. Go on.
It's his first. It's his first. To chat about Once Upon Time, Chapter 3 of Flux. Very exciting. But George, thank you once again for coming on. I'm gonna give you the title because you broke the points record. The reigning quiz Chibnall champion. Dom is gonna have to step it up to beat you.
Not much. Let's just hope you can get half of the answers this time as well.
Yeah. Hopefully. If he beats your percentage, I'll give him the title. But for now it's yours. Hold on to it. Yeah. The Quiz Chibnall champion.
The Quiz Chibnall champion of the world.
Now, yeah. Thank you all for listening. Big thank you to all of our patrons, and a massive shout out to Alfie Innes. Thanks for listening to Who Knew, a Doctor Who podcast. You can check us out wherever you get your podcasts and now on YouTube. Please subscribe and leave us a review wherever you can, as it really helps us out. And a massive thanks to the Sononauts for lending their cover of the Doctor Who theme to be the theme for the podcast.